Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome again to our Stopping the Violence webinar that we're happy and pleased to say it's been going on for the last 3 years. And in 3 years, I don't believe we missed one day out of that 3 years. And what that says, if you count those 3 years and all the guests that have come on, it just goes to attest to the fact that these guests that were on and the number of guests that came on have been incredible, enlightening, educational, and bringing us to a whole new epiphany in dealing with what we call violence. Originally, it was started with the concept of dealing with gun violence, which, it's running rampant in America, running rampant around the world. But we found that, as I always, and I reiterate it over and over, is that a gun is just an inanimate object. It takes a human being or someone to pick that inanimate object up and use it as a tool, as a weapon to hurt, harm, or kill someone. So what we have learned through all the plethora of wonderful speakers from the political arena, from the social arena, from the activist arena, the neighborhood community, just on and on and on of different types of people who are deeply involved in their area's perspective area in contributing to the curbing and the healing of violence in America. But what we have found is that there is a root cause to every action and every reaction. So through listening to these people who have come on, these prolific speakers, insights that they have afforded us, we found out that there are various root causes out there that needs to be addressed. And through the root, when you start cutting the root, then you begin to find the healing for the plant, for the healing for humanity. And so we're pleased to share with you today another of our guest speaker, and his name is Rickie Clark, and he represents I Am My Brother's Keeper. That's a profound statement. That statement was made in the first murder, right? In human history. First brother, the first murder ever.
Yes.
Was, am I my brother's keeper?
That's right.
And you are saying I am. So let me just tell audience just a little short that you are an educational consultant, public speaker, author and executive director of the Fort Worth Independent School District, My Brother's Keepers program. And he's spent the past 30 years working with youth of today through self-development, which is critically important, cultural education, and understanding and meeting them exactly where they are in life in order to guide them onto a higher education and I guess a higher mindset. Amen. So I want to thank you for what you're doing and how you're contributing to curbing the violence through the root cause. Because I think through you and what we probably hear from you, you are dealing with root causes. So welcome,
yes.
brother. God bless you. Thank you for coming on, and we look forward to hearing what you have.
Thank you for having me. You have me on mute. Can you hear me?
Hear it loud and clear.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I guess I'll introduce myself poetically and call myself the Black Man using Dewanza Kajufu's poem, I Am the Black Man. So I say, I am the Black Man. Some know me as Imhotep, Ramses, Martin, or Malcolm. Others know me as a man on the corner or in jail. I am both. Detroit Red and Malcolm. But from this day forward, I have pledged my life to the liberation of my people. I put God first in my life, and women feel safe when they see me. I have been a loving, responsible, encouraging husband. I talk to, listen to, hug, and educate my children. I am supportive of role models, scouts, and rites of passage. Why? Because I'm a Black man, the original man, the one and only man, the one that others are afraid of because they know that whenever we give any opportunity, we succeed. And that's just my introduction. All right. Thank you for having me, sir. I'm Mr. Rickie Clark with the My Brother's Keeper program here in Fort Worth, Texas. A little history about myself. I'm from the southeast side of Chicago, born and raised, only one in my family to graduate from high school. Went on, got a college degree from Jarvis Christian University, got a degree in mathematics, came back to Chicago, saw what was going on in the community. And I tell people all the time, I met my son before I met my daddy. And so I'm looking for leadership and didn't find it anywhere. I ended up moving back to Jarvis, well, back to Texas, thinking I was going back to the college campus, but ended up in Dallas, Texas. Now I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, running the My Brother's Keeper program. So we'll stop right there. Tell you a little bit more about the My Brother's Keeper program. Well, we know that Barack Obama started in 2014, but in 2016, he invited innovative programs to come to the White House. And we were selected as one of those programs. So I had a chance to go to the White House. When I went to the White House and met with Barack Obama, they told me that 50% of men of color drop out of high school. 65% drop out of college after 2 years, but 78% graduate and they join a fraternity or play a sport. And I'm going to repeat that again. They said 50% of men of color drop out of high school, 78% drop out of college after 2 years, but 78% graduate, they join a fraternity or play a sport. So we decided to come back to Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, and we started fraternities in middle schools and high schools. And that's what I want to talk about today. We have funding from the United Way for a violence prevention contract. And you ask, what are some of the things that I've known that change the violence? One of the things I ask young people when I first meet them is, before I can teach you anything else, I must first teach you about who you are. So I began by teaching them about their culture. I ask them a simple question. Can you name 5 black men who've done something great? Martin and Malcolm can't be one of them. They can't play sports and can't be entertainers. Do you know what the response I get all the time? Y'all ready? The same response I just got then. Quiet. They can't name 5 black men who done something great outside of sports and entertainment. So I knew right then my job was to begin to teach them who they are and whose they are. So we have an extensive curriculum about our African history. Right. So I've written 2 books. The first book I wrote is called What My Daddy Should Have Told Me: Life Lessons for the African American Male. Then I wrote the book called From Kindergarten to 12th Grade Can Equal 13 Years a Slave. And I'm currently working on a book that's entitled Shaking the Family Tree from the Legacy of Trauma. So when you talk about violence, we remind people that violence is learned and it can be unlearned. And then you begin to ask the kids, well, what's the 4 forms of violence? You got physical, um, destruction of property, emotional, and I can't think of the other one right quick. But those are the kind of things that we teach the kids, and we teach them verbatim. If anybody's on the phone is part of a fraternity, repetition is the mother of all learning. So we go in there and repeat the things that we want the kids to know. What are the 4 forms of violence? What is a man? A man is a male that acts, thinks, and live responsible. We teach a massive doses of those things. And once we've taught it to them, then we test them on what we already taught them. So I would come in the classroom with a question of 10 questions on the paper. Ask the 10 questions, knowing they don't know the answers, but telling them, here are the 10 questions that you're going to know when you walk out of here. Questions like, what is the original name of Africa? How many countries are in Africa? What is the longest river? Define the pyramid, things of that nature. These kids get so excited about learning about themselves. When they get out, they don't think about drugs. They don't think about violence. They realize that I'm hurting myself. I come from greatness. So how does this thing work? I'm glad you asked. So in order to be a chapter of MBK, right now, we're currently in 16 high schools for MBK and 8 for MSK. What we do is we go into the school, meet with the principals, go in to give me the kids. I want the good and the bad. Give me the ones that don't nobody else want to work with. Walk right in there and start the program. How do you do it? We introduce them to ourselves, introduce them to themselves, and we walk in the room and I just draw a map up on the board. A simple map. And I do it myself. I'm not a good artist, so I just draw the map and I ask them a question. Name for me one person who want to make the world safe for. So they put that name inside the box. Everybody go around and we ask them, okay, my name is Rickie. I want to make the world safe for Gavin. Gavin is my grandson. One thing about me you can't tell by looking is that I raised 5 boys as a single parent. Next person come up. Next person come up. Well, once they do that, then we ask them, what did he say? Oh, he said he raised 5 boys as a single parent. Well, what did he say? Oh, he lived with his auntie. He used to live with his grandmother. Well, what did he say? He said he wanted to be a chef, but he don't have a place to cook. Just questions like that. And once you know each other, we begin to line them up. If anybody on the phone again in the fraternity, so now we say evolve. They'll line up by height from the shortest to the tallest. Distance. They'll put their right hand on the left hand shoulder. And then we begin to ask the questions. What is MBK? My brother's keeper. When was it found? 2014. By who? Barack Obama. For what? To help young men of color transition from one life stage to another. Why do we meet in circles? Because we are all leaders. Why do we stand in V formation? Because we got each other's back. Why do we stand from the short to the tallest? To show evolution from boys to men. They know that verbatim. So when they walk into the room, anybody come in, we got our own special handshake. And then we began to talk about different subjects, i.e., to talk about manhood. So we would ask a question. If I would ask the people on this phone, what's a man? All of us would give different answers. So we define man as a male who acts, thinks, and live responsible. Anytime you're not acting, thinking, and living responsible, you define as a boy masquerading as a man, right? Well, tell me what did you learn from your daddy? What you learn from your auntie? What you learn, not your auntie, all males. I'm the son of Manuel McNeil. I'm the grandson of Odell Davis. I'm the brother of Flip. I'm the daddy of Rickie. I'm the cousin of Craig and Dink. These are all males in my life. Well, what did you learn from them? What is that you learn that you want to unlearn? Because again, we say violence is learned, it can be unlearned. After going through that, it's like a rhythm, and the kids come in and they talk openly, right? So when we at the schools, in order to be a chapter for MBK, you got to have 12 or more students. Before I come to the school to do service for you, I will call that chapter. They, Rickie, we got eight students. Will you have four by the time I get there? We're not sure. So that's how I order the pizza based on what they say. We get into the building, it's 24 kids. I don't think I have any group inside of the district that's less than 20. This is what we do. So we go to school once a week, imparting liberated information. As a matter of fact, last week we studied entrepreneurship. What is an entrepreneur? An entrepreneur is a person who take a risk of owning and operating his or her own business. What makes a successful entrepreneur? Buy low, sell high, keep good record. What is Keystone? In business is called W investment. What is it called in the streets? It's called flipping. These are some of the things that we talk with the boys about. And let me give you something that you will be proud of. One of the kids said to us last week, he said, Mr. Rickie, I can't tell you when the last time I carried a gun. Another boy said, man, I know, ask me any questions. I can answer any of those questions. I don't even smoke weed no more. These are the kind of things that you talk about interrupting violence. We got to meet them where they are, not where we want them to be. And sometimes it means going into their houses, talking to their parents, talking to their grandparents. Down here, one of our endeavors that we do, we sell light switches, the switch, light switch. And so on our light switches, we ask the question, if somebody broke in your house and there was nobody there, how would they know you was an African American? Okay, well, here, found one of these light switches. So we have King Tut, Queen Nefertiti, just different pictures on the light switches that they can put on their doors. Man, them kids going there, they sell out everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. And the switches are $10. So the boy sold 18 switches. That's $180. He went to the house. I had to go in the house with him for his grandmama to know that he wasn't selling drugs. His pockets looked like they had the mumps. And she was like, well, what is Mr. Rickie right there? I went in there, explained to her what we do. She's like, oh, you can take my son anytime. Anytime. So every other weekend, we out. We set up vending booths. They sell the stove tops, the things you put over the eyes of the stove. They put African features on them. Now we're doing they're doing the back of the cases for the light switch, not light switches, but cell phones. And then we got the light switches. Um, we just had yesterday, every year, we do a suit ceremony. So if the kids participate in the program, when they become a senior, we buy them brand new customized suits. They get to go in there, pick out the suits, the shirt, the tie, everything but the underwear, right? And we have a ceremony. At the ceremony, it's a suit install ceremony where they get the stalls to put on their neck, and we stay with them till they graduate from college. So now, when we in school, we meet with them once a week. When they out of school, they have to do a one-word check-in and call in once a week for a Zoom call. And it's been going really well. So like I said, it was in our 10th year. We work with over 2,000 kids. Every year, we have over 340 kids to register. And then just that's what we do. So what is our motto? Our motto is: if you didn't come here to take care of business, you had no business here. If you take care of your business, the business will take care of you. We have our foundation is superhero LeBron James, who stands for safety, healing, liberation, and justice. And our pillars are 2ABC. That's attendance, academics, behavior, and community involvement. And I'll stop right there.
Wow,
Any questions?
that was a mouthful. That was
That was a mouthful.
insightful, and I can resonate exactly where that is. And I like just to say to our general audience, um, when we're dealing with this violence and we're dealing with America, we do have to sometimes divide into what I call the categories of demographics. And each demographics are triggered differently, you know.
That's right.
So you are have dealt with the particular demographics of the those of African descent, if you will,
Oh
community.
yeah.
So and it's appreciative because, and I'm going to open up the floor. Um, yeah, identity is one of the critical matters within the community, and a lot of people outside of that community don't really understand
Oh,
because you know, as I've always said, and I'm just be honest, when I grew up in America, you know, and I happened to grow up in a mixed neighborhood. So I got a chance to deal with the Europeans and Hispanics and stuff like that. And it was always interesting that I just use it just to be a little bit more theatrical. I said, well, my European friend would say, oh, I'm descendant of the King of Windsor, and then who am I descendant of, you know?
teach, bro.
Right. So then I realized that I had to understand, and that contribute to their values, right? So also that is lacking within this community. It plays, and even the trauma of the past do play a critical role in some of the behaviors that we don't like in the communities today. But I love what you said, which was so critical, and that was violence can be learned and it can be unlearned.
Right.
And that I believe with all my heart. But what avenues do we take to deal with the different demographics? Each demographic is
So let me.
equally important. So we can look at what are those particular triggers, and those are one of the critical words that we have learned. And so thank you so much for sharing those things. We do have some people who would like to share some. I think Wayne Hankin, you had your hand up.
Oh, beautiful presentation. A lot to reflect on there. Thank you. Um, the question that comes to mind is: yes, you're teaching young people a different way of life. You're raising them up, knowing the difference between a boy and a man. You're going through a whole course of things. What have you seen in the attitude of young people toward women, particularly having respect for them, wanting to have marriage, staying away from promiscuity, and to be able to look forward to having a loving family instead of just the casual sex that permeates our society? I'd like to hear your
I'm,
thoughts on that.
I'm glad you asked. So I also stated I had a baby when I was 15 with a girl that I didn't even like. I love her now. She actually lives in my house. Did you hear that part? But I didn't know any better. So when we began, we have I think it was a couple of months ago, it was Women's Month. So we go in there, we talk about women, right? So one of the questions we ask the kids, right? Tell me your lineage on your mother's side. So they'll go through, I'm the son of, I'm the grandson of, and they'll mention their grandmothers and things like that. And then we ask them a question. Well, if these are the mothers in your life, these are women, would you want what you want this to be happening to your mother? So we have a stand up. Please stand up quietly if you ever looked at a woman, if you ever looked at a woman's breast while you was talking to her. Please stand up quietly if you ever stopped doing what you was doing because a woman walked past you. So we ask all these questions as part of stand up. And the boys realize, wow, I wouldn't want that to be done to my mama or my sister or my daughter or my auntie. And they would say, thank you, Mr. Ricky. Now I know better. Right. So they come back to the class and say, man, last week was powerful. I was like, why was it so powerful? Like, I went back and I told my grandmother about what we did, Mr. Ricky. And she said, that was beautiful. I had to, and you might want to listen to the song. It's by NDRE. And she just talked to her. He said, talk to her like your mama, like you want your mama to, like you talk to your granny. Talk to her nice, like you talking to your auntie. Talk to her like you want talking to. So it's the song talks about that, right? So the kids had to listen to the song, reflect back on it, come back the next week, and tell me who did you share this with and which woman you shared it with. Oh, I shared it with my grandmother. I shared it with my mother, right? So they go back in there. So, sir, you are right. So we address that and we tell them that's not something you want to do. I'm the example that you don't want to have in reference to having children at a young age, right? So yeah, I did have a baby at a young age, but I also raised 5 boys as a single parent and only 2 of my biological sons, because a real man to take care of his kids and somebody else. And if you're dating a girl and she got a baby, then that's yours too. So those are kind of conversations we had. As far as staying away from it, we let them know that when you having a baby at a young age, if you read my book, I paid child support after I graduated from high school. When I graduated from college, I had child support plus college loans and everything else. So you don't want to do that. So we need to teach the kids at an early age. I know it's a woman on the phone, but they also need to know to wrap it up. You need to know this. Well, who's going to teach me? Or better yet, don't have sex with somebody you don't know anything about. Because when we start talking about epigenetics, you laying down with this girl, you don't know nothing about her. You don't know what her life been through, what trauma she done gone through, and vice versa. So we land up with people that we don't even know what they've gone through. And trauma, as y'all know, is epigenetics. It can be passed down from one generation to the next. Now you done had this baby and you don't know why he acting like he acting, but you don't know nothing about the mama who don't know anything about her daddy. So when you had these conversations with the kids, you got to take it back and explain to them, here what can happen, right? Da 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 da. Or better yet, you having babies with, you don't even know if it's yours. Did you do a DNA? You sit in the class and we got Kirk Franklin didn't know who his real daddy till he was 45 years old. Right? Those kind of conversations. And when we have those with them, sir, they too away from that. They not doing the sex thing, right? They turning away from it and saying, I'm gonna graduate from college first. Mr. Rickie, you don't want to be like me. I've been doing this now. I think it's only one boy that I know of. I call him Mini Me. He had a baby in high school. I said, bro, why did you do that? I told you not to do that. I know, Mr. Rickie. Where's she now? I'm gonna take care of her. I promise you. Where's she at? Well, I live with they mama now. You take, yeah, I got 2 jobs. And he just graduated this year. So yes, we do address those, but I want to be honest, you got to keep it real. When they get over to that college campus, and it's just different. And if they're not going to church, and a lot of them are not going to church, how do you instill that? You the only one to be opportunity to say, don't have the sex, don't do this, don't do that. But you got to tell them and you got to show them. But if you don't give that to them, they're going to have the sex. It's going to cause the violence and it's going to repeat itself. So yeah, you're right. We do address those. So in my curriculum, we have what men do to women activity, and we discuss that. So I hope that answered the question.
Thank you.
Completely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hey, James Parker. I saw your hand up first.
Just want to say thank you. Thank you for reaching out to those kids. Definitely need to be done. And sometimes, just listening to your story about raising 5 boys, even having a child in high school, you still became successful, which give most of the people in the community hope. And that's what it is. It gives them hope. Yes, we could. The word kill is the word, and anybody could kill with their hands, with a piece of board or whatever the case may be. But I think we got to start planting love. We got to plant that love seed, and just by you, showing that love to be out there to do this, that's what the kids really need to see. They need to see sustainability.
Right.
The program, but the program. You was programmed to do this. So it's not a program. You was programmed to do this.
Teach, bro.
What you're doing is a great work, and if we can get more people to recognize that these kids they're out here, they're not bad. They're just looking to be taught something different.
Right.
And you're teaching them something different. Everybody's teachable. Everybody's learnable. We can't throw that away. It's just, what are you teaching them?
That's
and
right.
What do they like to be taught? So great job.
And they got to be around somebody they can touch, see, and feel. So we can talk about it, but if you ain't around them that they can touch, see, and feel, they don't know it's real. It's like something on TV. But one of the things that we do is we teach him massive doses of African history, Mexican history, Latino history. When I say massive dose, I mean things like we would ask, and I could ask the audience, if I would ask you, how many digits in the world? Do anyone want to know how many digits in the world? This is simple. Anybody know how many digits in the world?
Digits.
Digits in the world. How many digits in the world? Ain't that a good question to ask?
That is a
It's
good
not a,
question, and I don't have the answer.
yes, you do.
I do.
There's only 9 digits in the world. There's infinite numbers, but there's only 9 digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 0 is not a digit nor a number. It's a placeholder, right? Well, when I ask the kids that, they say the same thing. Well, I don't know. Okay, well, guess. So I give them well, where did those 9 digits come from? That's the next question. So somebody had to come up with the counting. Who came up with those 9 digits? Where did numbers come from? First person to ever count was a black woman. She actually counted up to 30. She counted her menstrual cycle. So we teaching the kids that. So black people taught the world numbers? Yeah. Well, let me ask another question. What's the first style of writing? We talk about hieroglyphics. Well, who wrote it and who read it? Black people. Let me ask another question. Right. So they said 12 inches equals a foot. Well, my feet don't equal 12 inches. Where did that measurement come from? Who gave us the measurements? Black people. That's a beautiful dress you got on. That's color blue, right? We got some yellow in there with some white. But where them damn colors come from? Black people. So when you start teaching the kids who they are and whose they are, they change on their own. The violence interruption, it stops on there because that's not what we do. If you would ask them, what is the original name of Africa? Well, they got a phone in their hand. They can Google it. The original name of Africa is Al-Kebalan, which literally means Garden of Eden or Mother of Mankind. And you can Google it. Well, what's the original name of Egypt? Oh, it's Kemet. Well, what does Kemet literally mean? Land of the blacks. Well, how many times is Egypt written in the Bible? Over 700 times. Well, who were they talking about then? When you start talking to kids like that and realize whose they are, I can see it in your face. You're like, wait a minute. Nobody ever asked me that question before. I never thought about that. Well, the numbers had to come from somewhere. The writing had to come from somewhere. The colors had to come from somewhere. The measurements had to come from somewhere. You mean black people? Yeah. One of the first universities called the Grand Lodge of Watts. They taught religion, applied science, liberal arts, and business. Every religion, I don't care what subject it is, it started in ancient Egypt. Every. So when you tell me that as a child, I began to think and I began to ask questions, not what someone else told me, but about myself. So violence interrupts itself. We're not violent. We were taught to be violent. I'm listening.
No,
I'm passionate. I'm just about passion talking.
No, I love it. You know, I actually, one of the other universities, Timbuktu, and they were teaching astronomy and higher math.
Oh yeah.
You know, in Mali back in those days. And that's a fact. But let's move on. VJ Smith, Reverend Smith, my brother, how are you?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Rickie, thank you very much for being on, brother. Listen, I want you to know that I'm excited. Not only am I excited that you're on the program, but I'm excited that you're giving a lot of the points that we've been going over for years. I've been doing it for years with you, at least a couple so far. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this future strategy of where we go, because what we're doing with these black boys, they don't want us to do. So what is our strategy for not only Texas, but around the world to encourage our young black boys when the strategy is to defund anything that changes the atmosphere for our young black men?
I'm glad you brought that up. I tell people there's nothing wrong with us. That's what's right with us can't fix. Right. And so this is not nothing new to people of color. We've done with this for years, over and over again. Right. But it ain't even just in the schools. So you going to stop me from doing it in school? I'm coming to the church. So we've been meeting with some of the churches here in Fort Worth. We go to the churches every other weekend. I'm in somebody's church teaching African history in the daytime. Right. I went to one church in Pleasant Grove. He just finished. No, Rick, you're going to finish. My sermon is going to be you teaching African history. Right. So we got to go to them and meet them where they are and not where we want them to be. So the strategy is any schools that allow you to come into the system, you go. But if they don't allow you to come into the schools, that's okay. We'll teach it after school. We'll teach it in the neighborhood. We'll start a freedom school. We'll go to the church. You don't let them do, because what we've learned, and VJ, you know that. When I start teaching kids about their history, about entrepreneurship, they stop on their own. Ain't no violence. They ain't being violent. They ain't cussing nobody else. They not using the N word just because they learn their history. So I don't let it stop. Here in Fort Worth, he may be letting y'all know that they ended the racial equity and excellence department. We don't even have it anymore, right? So, but they still fund the program. So when we go to the schools, that's what we do, VJ. So the plan is just keep doing what we're doing. We're just doing it in a different arena. So I just got into Birdville ISD, and now I'm in North Richland Hills. So it's happening. So the plan is to not turn the other cheek, but we just gonna pivot. And when you say I can't do it in the school, I do it at the school. When you say I can't do it at the school, I do it in the church. When you say I can't do it in the church, I do it in my home. Because we know this work. And some of those guys, like I do, you've been with me with TCAP, Tarrant County Advocate Program. They ended the program, but I still work with the kids. So what's funny, VJ, is that there's no more TCAP, but I'm over at Birdville, and every one of those kids came through TCAP. If you came in there, you would know one of them. You can look at them. They still got the monitor on their ankles and stuff like that. Every one of those boys in Birdville is from TCAP, Tarrant County Advocate Program. And I'm like, I know you. Oh, I know you. Oh, you've been. And one of them's like, oh, I know who you are, though. But guess what, bro? The group is strong. We going to middle schools, and you would not know them same boys that was coming to TCAP now when they're interacting with the boys over at the middle schools. You'll be so impressed when you take you over to North Richland Hills, BJ. You can be like, Rick, I said I told you. And so what happened in Birdville, this is the first time they've ever had Title I money. And now they brought in the MBK program, and we're helping them now. That's what he was speaking on. So the program just goes. When they stop and they got a problem with the district and don't want to deal with racial equity and excellence, we just move to the next place. This is not new to us, especially the people of African descent.
Yeah,
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Anything else? Dr. Madeline.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm sitting here taking it all in. I thank you for accepting our invitation, and I am elated that you're having these courageous conversations. We've talked about it so many times before on the program of speaking to young men and letting them know who they are and whose they are. Somewhere it got lost, but it's good to hear that you're bringing it back together, because I think that's where it starts. We talk about root causes. Sometimes it's the root cause of being removed. So I thank you for implementing those programs. I thank you that you are definitely a violent interrupter. You said it perfectly well. You said it's a learned behavior. It can be unlearned. And my heart is full because these young men are willing to unlearn those behaviors. So that is greatly appreciated. I admire the work that you're doing, and I'm going to say continue, but I don't think I have to say continue, because this is your passion. Once you find your passion, you do find your purpose. So I appreciate you sharing with us. I really appreciate you sharing with us, and
Miss, I want to say they ain't got to go about what I say. You go check out my webpage, Google what the work we do, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Continue. Okay, and I will do that. I would do that, and we're working on something, and we might have to extend another invitation. Correct, Reverend Oliver?
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much. The floor is still. Oh, thank you, Dr. Madeline, always. Anybody else? The floor is open.
I just want to add one more thing. If you ever want to see something amazing, and maybe Brother Clark, you can get a video, but if you ever want to see 60, 70 brothers in suits, ties, shoes laid out, because I dressed them myself. But if you want to see them walking in a single file to graduate, and you see them brothers looking so good, man, it's amazing. So, Brother Clark, what you've been able to do with that graduation piece and show these brothers. Oh man, I missed it. But anyway, that's an amazing sight. So thank you, man, for continuing in Obama's dream to see my brother's keeper. You've been doing a great job, and I love it. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. And so he's talking about what we do. We do a suit ceremony every year. Like I said, with brand new customized suits, they'll go to KNG. They pick the suits out, but not only they pick the suit out, they fit it for them. So they get it hem, the top, the bottom, whatever, everything but the underwear, right? And what amazes me is when the boys come in, Joseph cried. He said he had never been into a store. We don't know why our kids sag their pants and bag their pants, because they ain't seen nothing different. He said he never been into a store that sells suits. Wouldn't stop smiling. I said, man, why you smile? He said, man, I ain't never experienced this before. We had 42 young men and I think it was 13 girls. So it's MBK and MSK. When I get a chance to, I'll send y'all the video. We did it last night. It was powerful, bro. And Tylen Wallace from the Ravens, that plays for the Ravens, he did a video call in to the boys because he's a part of MBK. He went through the MBK program, him and his twin brother. And guess what else? You're gonna love this too, BJ. To BYG, to be young and gifted, they had their first single come out, Karma. They went through my program, and now they were Def Jam Records, and they performed yesterday. They sang the the National Black National Anthem yesterday. That was powerful. You would have been like blown away. The lady was crying. It was powerful. And I'll send one of you all the video so you can see it. It took place yesterday. Yes, that's some of the things that we do.
Wow. Mr. Clark, what's the age group that you work with?
So right now we have high school students, only high school, ninth, what is they, like 14 through till they graduate from college.
Okay.
Right. So we've done, we used to have Magic Johnson funded our program before. So I had a chance to meet Magic Johnson as well. So he runs a company called Sodexo Magic. It's a food and maintenance company. So they had a large contract here in Fort Worth. And when he came to Fort Worth, I told him, just fund my MBK program. And he did. And then when he left, they ended the program. So now we just only high schools.
Wow.
I have a question for you. When Dr. PJ brought up the suits, then it triggered my memory of one of the points that you shared with us that I thought was quite interesting. And I wanted you to give me a little bit more detail, the psych behind it. And you said that stats that you gave, and then you said 78%. Did you say 78% graduate because of the
doing a fraternity or player sports? Yeah. 50% drop out of high school. 50% of them drop out of house. 78% drop out of I dropped out of college after 2 years, but 78% graduate if they join a fraternity or play a sport. Yeah, I'm a member of a fraternity as well.
I'm not interested in the sports. We understand that. But I thought I really wanted to get the psych behind from you.
The fraternity.
Fraternity.
So let's talk a little bit about the fraternity. I'm happen to be a member of a fraternity. I'm an Alpha Phi Alpha, proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha. I knew nothing about fraternities when I went off to college. I knew nothing about brotherhood when I went off to college. If y'all know anything about Fort Worth, they got GDs, Vice Lords, all that kind of stuff. Folks, I ain't folks, but I got folks that's folks. So when I went off to school, I had no idea what that was about. So I went down there and told I'm gonna start my own fraternity. Right? They were like, "Oh, we got that." Like, I ain't gonna be about. I'm starting my own fraternity. They call it the Icky Bops. So I got good with a group of brothers. We started Ickies as the name of an apartment. It's a housing project in Chicago called the Ickies. So we call ourselves the Icky Bops. So we did that, and then I learned about the fraternities, right? And it changed my life. So when I learned about the fraternity, I went back home, and I'm an alpha, and I'm telling my mother and them about it. I'm telling the other people about it. It changed the trajectory of my whole family just graduating. But I'm an alpha now, right? If y'all know anything about alpha men. So I went back, and it changed me. And so when we went to the White House, and they went through this 50% of this, 65%, I was like, wow. So the lady that was with me, her name was Miss Breed, and she ran the racial equity department that funded my program. I say, Miss Breed, we need to start doing a fraternity. So we started, if you be doing the research, you realize that these fraternities, it started way back in ancient Africa. They were called rites of passage. It wasn't what they do here. That hazing stuff is something that the Europeans started. But in ancient Africa, it was called a rites of passage. And a rites of passage marks a transition from one life stage to another. So we use it from a rites of passage perspective as opposed to the fraternity, but it created the brotherhood. Well, what we know is that brothers don't fight each other to the death. We may fight, but we're not going to kill each other. We're not going to put weapons on each other. So if everybody's calling each other's brother, you less likely to call him the N word. You less likely to put your guns on. You less likely to put your hands on him because he's the brother. So we created the brotherhood in the school district. And I'm telling you, man, you seeing principals and teachers. Now we have MSK. I don't know if he told you that. My sister's keeper. The brotherhood works. The fraternity thing works. I mean, it's just like churches. Y'all got a brotherhood in your churches. That's why y'all, brother this, brother John, deacon this, brother that. Well, we figured take it outside the church, take it outside the school, and put it in the community. So instead of me calling you the N word, I call you my brother. and I'm less likely to call you out your name if I call you my sister or my brother. So we did the fraternal order, and in the fraternity, you have to build a brotherhood. It's not there just because you say the name. So we remind the kids it's not what's on your shirt, but what's in your heart. So you got to look like an MBK student even when you don't have a shirt on, because somebody's watching you. Our biggest word is integrity, and integrity is doing what's right when ain't nobody watching. So we teach them just about everything you would learn in a fraternity, but we don't haze them, and we don't teach them secrets. And it has created a bond.
So it's that sense of connection, that sense of brotherhood, that and it's the love. I think James Parker had mentioned that earlier. It's the love that drives them, motivate them to continue that journey and that path. It's the brotherhood, the foundation, basically, of the brotherhood that keeps them connected. That's powerful.
And so when they get to the college, we encourage them to join a fraternity. They don't have to be an alpha. They can be cap anything they want to. We encourage you. But if there's no fraternity that interests you, you're part of MBK. Started on your own chapter, on your own campus. So this one girl, she went to Kennedale, 2-year college. She called, hey, Mr. Rickie, I saw some brothers, they had on MBK shirts. I said, well, go out there and introduce yourself to them. Tell them you're your sister with MSK. Goes out there, introduce herself to the two brothers. She called me on the phone. They on the phone. Hey, Mr. Rickie, I'm a class of 2024, 2023. I was like, hey, that's Leah. Leah was the president of MSK at Southwest High School. Look out for her. Well, guess what? Guess how she get back and forth to school? The brothers bring her back and forth to school.
Wow.
And no, she haven't joined a sorority and they haven't joined a fraternity. But I think a couple of them talking about pledge and Q or something like that. But that's how they do. We got them down there at Houston Tillerson. The guy, he went down there. He just sent me this picture. I pledged Q, Mr. Rickie. I'm an Omega, man. I said, oh, you ain't pledged Alpha. I say, it's cool. You still part of the family, right? Well, but now he's a part of it. Now other young men are coming down there and they about to join the fraternity. So that's how it builds. Each one reach one, each one teach one.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Anybody else? James, did you still have your hand up, or Parker? I just saw your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to, when you was talking about pivoting, when you was talking about going to a school, but then they reject you, but it didn't stop you. You went to another school and went to another place. You went where the door was open. And so many times people are so fixated on a certain place, a certain time, and they forget about what's the purpose of what you're supposed to be doing. So I was just listening to you on that to where, it brings me to the scripture of God saying that man can't close a door that God has opened.
No.
And a man can't shut it. He can, and he can't close one. He can't open one that God has closed. So, to be able to be guided and continue, like the program was such in your heart that it didn't bother you if somebody said no. Then let me go find somebody to say yes.
That's right.
And look where you are today, where somebody will spend so much time and energy fighting to get into a place that don't want you there in the first place. And even if you get in, they're going to keep trying to get you to get kicked out, and you can't focus on what you got to focus on. So
what the Bible say, when you go see him, just knock your feet off, knock the dust off your feet and go to where they want it. So I don't code switch. I don't change that. And I want to be honest, it will affect me, but it's worth it. We do about $350,000 every year. I've done it for the last 10 years, at least $350,000 every year. And when I go to other places, they be like, well, Rickie, how is they funding yours? Well, they've been funding it for 10 years. It ain't me, it's God is bigger than me. Most cities, when they have an MBK program, they struggling for funding. I haven't struggled for funding in 10 years. And so they said, well, I was like, well, if you change it and don't want me to do it, I'll do something else. I won't do that. I won't do it, but I'm going to still keep MBK. I'm going to still do, like, I'm in Texas, y'all. Not only am I in Texas, I'm in the reddest county in the state of Texas. Did y'all hear what I said? Ain't nothing redder in the county. There ain't nothing redder than Tarrant County. But, and they be like, Rick, why you, I'm not scared of them. Them people don't bother me. I'm not caught up in the black and white stuff. It's a human race. I love everybody. I'm a part of an organization. It's a multicultural organization, so I don't get caught up. But what I'm not gonna do is, I'm not gonna turn my other cheek. I'm not gonna not teach my kids about their history. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna code switch. I'm not gonna change my words up. I'm not gonna bend over, and I'm not gonna fall out because you taking a contract. So last year, VJ can tell you, every year they tried to take it. But when God got for you, God got for you. So last year, it was like, Rick, you're not going to go down and argue it? No, I'm not going to argue. You either going to fund it or you're not. So you're not going before the board? No, I'm not going before the board. See my work. See the work that God allowed me to do. So don't get caught up, y'all. Everybody's not going to allow you to do this. But if you're passionate about what you're going to do, stand on your square and just do it. And that's why I'm 46 in the mirror, if you know what I mean. I'm 46 in the mirror. I'm not going to go back. You're not taking me back to that foolishness. I promise you, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I'm not going to teach the kids to do it. So, Rick, if you're going to lose $325,000, I don't care. I'll find another $225,000 somewhere else. And I don't do it for the money, no way. So I've written a couple of books. I told you that, right? I'll sell my book and use the money from the books to get to the kids.
Well, the other thing I want to add too, Dr. Oliver, is that we did a sample of what could happen with the middle school kids. And boy, it was amazing. Unfortunately, that didn't roll like we wanted to, but that same concept for those middle school kids
and elementary.
It's mind blowing what we could do for those little boys. Man, they're hungry for it, they're starving for it, and they need it.
So we do a pilot program. So I didn't mention it. So I don't even get paid for it. So every Monday I go to an elementary school, and every Tuesday we go to a middle school, right? So in the elementary school, we got all the fifth grade boys. When I say all the fifth grade boys, even the ones that's dealing with mental health or a handicap, but we take all the fifth grade boys. And we meet every Monday at 8:30 in the morning, from 8:30 to 9:30, teaching them the exact same thing that we teach the high school student. How to line up, how to be disciplined. You can go in there and he'll tell you, walk in there and say number 7, it's quiet enough to hear a pin drop on cotton. Number 7 is respect. We have 10 agreements. We don't have rules. We just have agreements. The first one is confidentiality. The last one is have fun. But number 7 is respect. And number 6 is feelings. So I don't say be quiet if they last. And I just say get in touch with your feelings. Number 7, get in touch. So we've done it with the high school. So, and we have the elementary and we have the middle school. So they've just pilots. And we've done those for free, and we don't really talk about it, but because all the rest of the schools want it too. And I can't do all the schools, but I do one elementary and one middle school. But the rest of them are all high schools. Thank you for reminding me of that, DJ.
So as we are coming to the close, I would like to, if anyone else would like to share or ask a question out in the audience. If not, I would just share a little bit, and I'm going to give you the last word, Brother Rickie. First of all, thank you so much for coming on. I don't know, people weren't on the call just before you let everyone in. You know, he's trying to find a place to sit, and you can see how active he is. His character, he's acting with everybody. He's talking to everybody.
Sorry.
And as he's walking, he says one thing that I thought was very interesting and very applaudable. And he said, I love this so much, I don't need to even if I don't get paid, I still love it and I would do it. And so that's a profound statement because, in our ministry, we have a motto that we live by because we know this is the universal law coming from the Creator himself. And that is living for the sake of others.
That's right.
And also there's a word that I've always liked. And when I read it, people have different interpretations of it and the definitions. There's altruism. And altruism is, according to my definition, is the natural inclination. You hear me? The natural inclination to reach out to your brother when he's falling.
There you go. I like that. I'm taking that with me.
Yeah. So what I connect that with what you said.
Okay.
You can learn to be violent, but you can also be unlearned because
That's right.
the natural inclination that God breathed the breath of life in all his children
Teach, bro.
is there.
That's
You
right.
see, who taps into that, then that becomes the prevailing force that begins to open up our minds, open up our hearts, open those kids, and they will begin to unlearn
That's right.
what they have learned that was always detrimental to them. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your heart and sharing where you are. I look forward to talking with you off camera.
Please do.
So I want to just let you give the last word.
Well, let
And
me leave y'all with this then. There's a poem that I do. It's called, and I'm telling you all, as a people, we got to take two sets of notes. One set to ace the test and one set to know the truth. We got to have two sets of notes. One set to ace the test and one set to know the truth. And so if it's okay with you, I'm going to leave you with the poem by M.K. Asante, which is entitled Two Sets of Notes. M.K. Asante. He was a young man who kept getting in trouble. They kept putting him in alternative schools. He was in violence. He just kept doing stuff, kept getting in trouble. So he went to an alternative school and the lady told him to write, but when he wrote, he cussed. He kept using cuss words. He said that he could write, told him he could write real good. He found out he can write. He wrote a poem and he became nationally known for this poem. It's entitled Two Sets of Notes, and I quote, "Sometimes I feel like I'm above the ground and the ceiling and institutions that disengage in healing. Instead, open the warp wound, trap me in a room, consumed with hypocrisy. But it occurs to me that Greek philosophers didn't author their own philosophy. The statues on campus be watching me. Washington, Jefferson, Williams clocking me to say, Negro, your time is up. But I don't run laps around tracks. I run laps around scholars of tomorrow because new school of thought is merely our history borrowed. So they'll label me militant, black national radical, trying to put my learning process on a sabbatical. But I don't apologize because the truth to the whites of their eyes infected by white lies. They even try to get me to see their point of view by a brother that looks like me. That brother don't walk like me, talk like me, or act like me. He even turned his head and ran when I asked if he was black like me. Memorizing their thoughts and forgetting our own and wonder why we always feel alone. From the media to academia, hanging our brothers like coats, and in their schools, always take two sets of notes. One set to ace the test and one set to know the truth. But when I find historical contradictions, I use the first set as proof. Proof that our youth minds are being polluted, convoluted, diluted, not culturally rooted in anything except Western massacre. Most of us are scared of Africa. We view our mother's land through the eyes of David Helm and Emmanuel Can, but Emmanuel can't tell me about a land he never seen. A land rich with history, beautiful kings and queens. But they'll have you to believe otherwise. The history is built off high-rise lies. The pyramids were complete before Rome or Greece were conceptualized. And then they'll claim that the Egyptian race is a mystery. You tell them Reed, he wrote this book too, it's their history. It can't get any clearer. Young people, look in the mirror. We are the reflection of divinity. Don't be fooled by selective memory. Walk high and listen to the elders who spoke. Young people always take two sets of notes. Thank you for having me. Please take my number down. If there's anything I can do, I would love to do it. I love working with young people, and I'll close with what I open up with. I love doing this so much that I would do it for free. But I've become so good at it, I now get paid for it. Thank you.
Wow.
God
Thank you
bless.
so much for sharing your expertise. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Brother. God bless you, my brother.
God bless you. Anything I can do, let me know, VJ. You know that. I want to
Okay.
interact with each other. Let me leave y'all with this. There's nothing wrong with black people. That's what's right with us can't fix. Let's fix it.
Right.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. God bless you. And
God bless
again,
Thank you, Rickie. Great program.
I want
All
to
right.
thank everybody for coming on. I want to thank you again, Rickie. We look forward to subsequent conversations. Thank you so much, VJ and Dr. Madeline, for
And I
being
was in my car today, bro. So we can do a PowerPoint. Just let me know. I'll be ready for you.
no
All right.
problem.
All
You
right.
did a great job thus so far.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
clear. Excellent job. Thank you so much. Everyone, we'll see you next week. Thank you all for coming on, and thank you for your commitment and all your support. And Rickie, we look forward to talking with you again.
Yes.
All right. Love y'all.
God
Take
bless
care.
you all. Love you until
God
we
bless
meet
you.
again.
All right. To God be the glory.
Thank you very much.
God
Thank
be
you.
the glory.
All right.
Hey, Bill.
Hey,
Thank you, Reverend Oliver. Great program.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oliver, until we meet again.
A
Good
new
to see
beginning.
you.
Okay. God bless everyone.
New
See you
beginning.
next week.
God bless.
See you next time. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
Miss
you.
Sharon.
Thank you.